Hello, hello. This is Anna Imagination with the Healing Garden. Thank you so much for joining me with Shifting Perspectives, the Money Edition. All right, so this episode is called The Money Gate. Whenever we deal with perspectives, any and all perspectives, I remember it very clearly. It was something I had written in Dollar and Shadow. Of all the things I wrote in Dollar and Shadow, this particular moment really froze in my mind. Solid. It's still there. I still think of it. Daniel, could you grab me Dollar and Shadow, please? She's over there. There is this moment after Colin comes home from war. And when I wrote this thing, it's an opening chapter. The camera in my mind scopes. It's vast. It paints the scene of all of Lorlenelin. That's the name of her city. And when she is in Lorlenelin, you're not in her point of view. You are in the camera's point of view. Kind of like, well, quite literally, it's like Sound of Music. And the camera swoops down, zeroes in on this gorgeous scene. It carries you over mountains and shows you everything. And then from there, it zooms in even closer. You follow the camera down across the waters of Norway. And as it moves, this is it. As it moves, it brings you closer to the character. So I'm going to read you this section because this is all about perspective. From the northernmost ends of the world, over the snows of Jotunheim, down past the fjords of Midgard, the land of Elfheim lay. Her tall, ancient pines stretched across the grass plains riddled with rivers that intertwined through forests and lakes. Rich forests radiated the heart of Friesland, where secrets were buried within, secrets forgotten even by the Liosafar, who had dwelt in the land since it had formed. To the east, Lake Vanern stretched on like the sea. During the long, cold winters, it iced over so thick, so solid, that kings fought their wars on the surface, which was strong enough to sustain thousands. When, standing on the bank, looking out to the farthest corner, one could not see its end. Its primary inlet, the Klalaf River, flowed from the north and split in two around the island, filled with the Liosifa city, Gunir, before pouring into Lake Vanir. At the southernmost end of the lake, the waters drained into the Galtelf River. For days it flowed, ending at the Sea of the Kattegat. There the shallow waters clawed and chewed apart a ship's hull, ready to eat away the keel of a negligent crew. Sailors ignorant of the passing tides would find themselves run aground, or worse. And from the Kattegat, the mountains emerged, reaching high into the heavens where the peaks rose and vanished into the lowest clouds. Waterfalls cascaded from the mountains, dressing the rocks in glistening streaks. The Daggerfar's most beloved waterfall being Livsfond that supplied Lorlenelin with fresh water. There, the Daggerfar built their mountain city, Lorlenelin, the white opal. With stones of white glistening in the sun's light, the Daggerfar city descended from the precipice with a beauty equaled only to that of the Dvergar who lived in the caves beneath the mountains to the west. Homes and towers dressed the cliff face overlooking the Kattegat. Winding streets of white led deep into the earth, faceted with towering parapets and balustrades that extended into the clouds. And at the base of Lorlenelin and Livsfond's end, the mountain met the sea. There, the Daggerfar shipyard spanned the docks. There, they constructed great longships shaped to cut through the waters. They formed their hulls to move with the sea, welcoming its power and using it rather than carving an unnatural path against the currents. It goes on, but you can see the perspective shift where you're spanned here and then it swoops down and it moves in and you see Lake Vanyang. And then you swoop out from that and it moves you over to the Kattegat and you expand out. You see Lorlenelin and then it zooms in again. Now, if I were to continue to read, it would take you into the streets of Lorlenelin and you would wind through the cities until, boom, there is Colin coming home. That is perspective. And then the camera shifts and you're inside Colin. Well, you're actually watching Colin. You're standing side by side with her now. Third person perspective. First person is if we were to go inside of her head and show you the world inside of her mind. That is absolutely, yes, that's perspective. So I'm sitting here with my business and I don't know your situation. I don't know what value you would put on what I have to offer. Now, for me, I weigh things like I have something. I have my ideas and my thoughts. And that's really what's being bartered here. My information, my knowledge, my experience, my time. Not my time, it's my knowledge. People want to pick my brain. How much does picking of the brain cost? What is the value of picking at my brain? How do you even begin to put a price tag on picking my brain? What? Now, I take a lot of variables into place. People ask me, do you do consultations? Do you do one-on-ones? That's dangerous territory. And it's not. If I were to slap a single price tag on and say, this is what I charge per hour, these are your options, go. It doesn't work because I could get somebody who's really easy to work with, where our energies are merged and the world is a beautiful place. Or I could get a fourth perspective who's adamant about wanting to be a sixth perspective, but is refusing to release the lessons of their parents. So they're holding on to the past. Now that makes my job really hard. Am I going to get any joy talking to a fourth perspective as opposed to talking to a sixth or a seventh perspective? Are they the kind of person who just wants to take my information just so they understand and they know, but they're not actually wanting to implement any of the work? How much work are you willing to put into it? Now, there's people who say, oh, I'll do all the work, and then they don't. And that makes my job harder. How do you put a price tag on any of this? And the best thing we have so far is, let's charge an hourly rate. Oh, no, we're not going to do that. I am not willing to work for less than $250 an hour. I'm comfortable saying $500 an hour, $250 to $500. That's where I'm cozy. That is my, if I'm getting less than $250, now it's not worth my time. And it's not that it's worth my time. Wrong words. See, this is where sloppy language. No, let's articulate. We're going to fine tune this language. It's not worth my time. No. We are going to redo that. Instead of this, we're going to try a different word. It's called the pain in the ass factor. Because this is what I function on, my pain in the ass factor. I did a video yesterday on the pain in the ass factor. So there's the pain in the ass factor and the joy factor. And the higher the pain in the ass, the less joy it's worth. It gets to a point where you get to that center point, and suddenly, no, the pain in the ass factor is now higher than the reward. We call this risk reward, but there's no risk. It's just a pain in the ass. It's pain in the ass. I actually have a chart for this called the PIA chart. I call this the PIA chart. I will have to show you my PIA chart. My PIA chart is literally the pain in the ass factor chart. I officially say, I'm all done. There's no more value in this, depending upon where you land on the PIA chart. If the reward exceeds the PIA factor, the pain in the ass factor, it's great. But if the pain in the ass factor exceeds the reward, there is no dollar amount that's going to move me to want to do it. So where's the pain in the ass factor? I've had clients that are high on the PIA chart, And that's when I cut the relationship and I say, this is officially more stress than anything. Money cannot buy anything. That's where I'm done. Putting my body into a vehicle and driving in New York City is involved. That is called this is actually why the PIA chart exists. We have New York City traffic to thank for the PIA chart. It works like this. I live in Brooklyn. My partner lives in the Bronx. He actually lives beyond the Bronx. Translation, a commute for 17 miles between us, we're looking at 2 to 3 hours of drive time in New York City traffic on an average day. 2 to 3 hours. If I take the train, 2 hours. 2 hours on the train. And that's with a 20-minute walk to his place after. Yes. See why we have the paying in the ass chart. So the reward has to be really out there for me to get on the N train, go over to the 2 line or the 5 line, switch lines, and then walk into Westchester. We're talking a massive amount of paying in the assery. Driving is worse because now this is great. Let's say I want to drive into Manhattan and go to the bar and hang out with some friends. Let's examine the situation. I have my car. It's a great primed moment right now. I've got it right on the street. I get in my car. I drive to Manhattan. It's going to be 2 hours, maybe an hour, 2 hours driving into Manhattan. Then I get to Manhattan. I can expect there to be up to an hour of me finding a parking space. Or I can pay $60 to put my car in a garage. Paying in the ass. Or I can take the train and be there in 45 minutes, the end. So now if they're on my train line, we're looking at a low paying in the ass factor. The other day, I went to Delancey Street. Now that's the N train to the J train. The J train for me is a pain in the ass. Clarifying this, anything involving the L train is a pain in the ass. So anytime I go to mid Brooklyn or upper Brooklyn or Queens and the L train is involved, oh, it had better be worth it because the L train is involved. Now we have a high paying in the ass ratio. So anytime anyone invited me anywhere, I would pull out my massive PIA chart and go, let's look and examine the paying in the assery of this situation. Or I would just get to a point where I would say, nah, too much of a pain in the ass, which is very, very common lingo here in New York City. It's part of the culture is this too much of a pain in the ass? Now, this can be applied to literally every situation in life. Do you want to have children? Look at the pain in the ass factor. Do you want to go on a family vacation? Look at the pain in the ass factor. Do you want to see your parents for the holidays? Look at the pain in the ass factor. You see where I'm going with this? So when I decide to work with clients, it isn't about it being worth my time. It is about it being worth the pang in the ass factor that it comes with. The first pang in the ass factor is, does it give me joy? Well, that depends on the person and the person's energy. It depends on the person's situation. Am I going to be committed to writing up a massive curriculum? Is it going to be difficult? Am I just checking in with this person once a week and updating them and giving them assignments, and then they have to do the work and they just use me as an accountability partner? What kind of work are we talking about here? This is not a one size fits all. Whenever you talk about one-on-one coaching, it is a custom design job suited to your needs. Now, what's it worth? Can we break that down on an hourly rate, a package rate? So this is one of the things that I love is we have the money gate. A person comes to me and they says, I want X from you. Okay, what does X entail? I guess that would be it is details. What are the expectations? And this is where you negotiate the boundaries. I'm not willing to do that. I'm willing to do this. Okay, now, once you assess the PIA, Yeah, you have to assess how much of a pain in the ass this is going to be. The next question that it falls to is, how do you put a price tag on that? Where's the motivation, the incentive for me wanting to do this? Now, here's the kicker. I've had people say, well, what about helping people? Ha 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 ha. All of Triadic healing is available on my website. I am helping people for free. They're wanting something more than. So it's when they want more than what I'm offering. I've done my bare minimum. It's not my bare minimum. It's my life. I love my podcast. I absolutely love my podcast. And I put it out there and it's available because education should be free. So I'm already helping people. That's no longer a factor. Now it's, well, you're extra helping people. No, you're talking about hand holding. You're talking about hand holding. So now I have to sit down and say, is that even compatible with my style? Is that something I'm going to enjoy? Does it feel right? Does it feel good? And does it give me joy? Now, if it does all three of those things, there you go. I would say yes. I would do one-on coaching if you hit all three of those things. But there need to be some expectations. And now we're going to look at the price tag, depending upon what the expectations are. And I would say it's $250 to $500. Now, let's talk about how much this is worth to you. How much are you willing to pay? How much do you feel that this is worth? So it's literally a negotiation because we're bartering the value of what you're getting versus what I'm getting. Now, this is where we look at the energy exchange. And this is where I love the energy exchange. Whenever you have money, whenever you have any kind of an emotional exchange, there are actually two energy paths, not one, two. There's always two. You have two. You have the energy that's coming into you, and you have the energy that's leaving you. And it has to be balanced, doesn't it? So now let's look at money. Let's look at the energy that carries money. A person desires. Now they are asking for my energy. Well, wait a minute. If I'm going to siphon my energy into you, what exchange is going to come out of that? Because that's going to drain me energy wise. It's going to cause an energy drain. So we need to make sure that the energy I am putting out is going to be replenished. This is why you can't get something for nothing. My karma bank must be balanced. Your karma bank must be balanced. Now we are talking about the value of energy. That is really what we're bartering here. The value of energy. How much energy do you want from me? How much are you going to get from me? And how much are you going to give back? Now let's put a value on the energy. I have no idea how to do that yet. How do you put a value on energy? And the first thing that came to mind is, well, it depends. Is it Mercury retrograde? So, all right, that's what we're doing. The value, what is my energy worth? Now, I'm a hermit. I am a 6'2" line. I am a sage hermit. That is what my human design is. I am a 6'2". Do you know what that means? It means that it costs me a lot of energy when I talk to people. Yeah, I'm solid at $500 an hour. There's a reason why my prices are high. You want me to come out of my hermit cave. You want me to come out of my hermit cave. That's going to drain the hell out of me. Yeah. So I need to make sure that I get the energy replenished. Because if I give too much, there's going to be that breaking point. If there's a pain in the ass factor involved, it's going to drain more of my energy. I can only recharge so much of my energy with meditation and chakras and energy cleanses. I could just be alone. I could be isolated. I have to be isolated. That's why I do the way things, that's why I do what I do. I have to be isolated. I go out, I socialize with people, I can feel it draining me because I give a lot more. That's it. I have a very high energy cost whenever I communicate with people, whenever I work with people. This is fine so long as those chats aren't available. As soon as I turn that chat on and allow people to talk to me, I'm drained. It's why my chats are off. It's the second reason. The first reason is because it distracts me. And the second reason is because it pulls my energy out of me. And suddenly I can only do 2 videos instead of doing 5 or 6. So I have to have the barrier to preserve my energy because people drain my energy from me. So yeah, that's what we're doing. We're looking at the value of energy. How the hell do you put a price tag? How do you define the value of energy? Now, this is coming back to, there's 2 energies here. I have this ball of energy. Now, over here, for me, it's working for me. It's keeping me charged. It's keeping me mentally grounded. It's keeping me healthy. You're wanting that from me. I hand that to you. Now, is the value that you would put on that energy the same as the value that I would? I think this energy is more valuable to me than it is to you. So this energy is now up for sale. That's what's being sold here, is my energy. It's up for sale. How much energy is this going to take? I'm still solid at $500 an hour. My energy costs $500 for every hour because that's how much it drains me. That's solid. The question is, the information that comes with this energy ball for 1 hour, is it worth $500? I can cram a lot in an hour. Oh, I can cram a lot in an hour. So I'm looking at this thing going, right. How do you put a value on your own energy? Because a person might be buying information, but I am selling energy. That's really it. I am literally transferring my energy into information for somebody else. That is the real breakdown of exchange that's going on. It's going from energy into information. So how much is that transaction? So yeah, you're definitely going to want to dig out what are the expectations? What are the details? Assessing the pain in the ass factor. Does it give you joy? Does it feel right? Does it feel good? Breaking all of that down. And now you have the money gate. This is how much I'm willing to put into this for me and for you. And there's definitely the exchange going on. I'm getting a massive amount of happiness through the podcast and through my website. I'm getting so much energy to recharge from that. So I can put everything into that. In turn, I'm getting something out of it. It is a massive amount of exchange. And this is it. It's like my podcast and my website are here. And I've got this beautiful exchange happening between me and it. Ooh, I'm onto something. I can feel something just shifted. Something just shifted. What just shifted? Okay, focus, 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 focus. So I have myself with this exchange of I'm putting it into the podcast and I am putting it into my website. So I'm actually not dealing with anybody. I'm 100% just engaging with my podcast and my website. And the podcast and website, when I engage with it, are refueling my energy and we have this beautiful balance. But take away the podcast and the website and put a person there. Now, there it is. I can feel it. I can feel them drawing out of me. I can feel them pulling out of me. Now I'm going, no, you've got to give it back. You've got to give the energy back. So now I have an individual. I have a person. I'm going to draw a little stick figure. And I'm putting into that. But that person is not in turn giving me anything back. This is where I give them information, but they're not giving me any information. This is where a teacher gives to a student, but that student isn't giving anything back to the teacher. So the teacher then goes to the school district hands them a check, and now we're balanced. So that's just it. I'm engaging with people now. Okay, what am I getting out of this? Where's the exchange coming from? And there is no, that's where the energy exchange is broken up between the person trading and making the exchange. Now, for my podcast site and my webcast, ha ha ha, that's funny. For my podcast and my website, you have people who are going and they are pulling information, they're learning. So they're accessing the podcast and the website on their own energy exchange. They have to sit there and invest their time into my podcast and website. Hi, thank you. I really appreciate this. And in the meantime, I'm over here exchanging my energy and information into my podcast and my website. But we're actually not interacting because the podcast or the website is in between us. We have our own exchange happening over here, and you've got yours happening on that end. And we're both donating time. We're both donating ideas and thoughts. You're getting the information. I'm getting everything I'm getting from it. And as a result, we're able to sit down and, all right, go our separate ways. But as soon as you pull that podcast and the website out of the equation and it's just person now, and I'm sitting there putting that information into it, where's that come in? Now money enters the equation. But we're back to how do you put a price tag on the value of this energy exchange? All right, I'm glad I have figured out this much. I need to pull back my scope, reassess my new perspective from above, reassess, and then home back in. We're going to figure this out. All right. Thank you so much. If you love shit like this, like, follow, subscribe, comment below. Let me know what part of the video resonated with you, and donate. We are growing the garden. Take a look at the link below. Thank you so much, and may the kindest of words always find you.